Hi, I'm so excited you're here. I know if you're here, you're someone who gets things done. You're smart, you're capable, and committed to growth. But if you're honest, despite your efforts, the progress isn't showing up the way you expected. And maybe you're a manager or a professional in a fast-paced environment and you're struggling to prioritize or protect time for deep work on your own long term goals. You're feeling drained from navigating decisions, meetings, and interpersonal dynamics with no time left for your own personal or professional development. Or maybe you're a certified coach that helps business professionals and leaders, and you're trying to grow a business, but you're unsure how to communicate the value of your work to attract your clients. You want to serve business professionals and leaders, and you feel disconnected from their world. Or you're leading others, but not always leading yourself and walking your own talk. And this misalignment is bothering you, then this masterclass is for you. And by the way, managers and coaches who serve them are the two groups I serve in my coaching practice because I've been in the shoes of both and I have personally struggled with the challenges I'm going to talk about today. I have worked in high pressure corporate environments and I have founded and grown a product based e commerce business. I have built a coaching business from the ground up. And what these two groups have in common is leadership. But too often, leadership gets misunderstood, reduced to a title, a role, or a performance. And real leadership begins within, and that's where we start. And this masterclass is about invisible handbrakes in the growth journey. We'll talk about it. And this is not your mindset alone, not your strategy in isolation, but the gap between how you operate and how you integrate and align everything for action and what your next level actually requires. We'll walk through the core shifts in thinking, structure, and mindset, and that's help both professionals and coaches move forward with clarity, focus, and long-term momentum. So let's start here. What's the one thing in your work, leadership, or business that feels heavier, slower, or more complicated than it should? If you're in corporate, a manager, you're a project manager, a leader, a team leader, maybe it's showing up with presence and confidence, especially in rooms where the stakes are high. Maybe it's about finding the courage to go for the next role, the next level, but your calendar is so full, you're always firefighting, and there is no space to think. So you have no time to lead, basically. And you spend your days in meetings, yet your strategic work keeps sliding to someday, and pretty much it never happens. Or if you're a coach, maybe it's signing consistent clients. Maybe you're posting stuff on social media, you're refining your offers, you're adjusting them, but still not getting the traction you expect. And maybe it's about balancing your delivering your services as a coach, like actually coaching clients, and then balancing that with your marketing and building a personal brand that actually reflects your expertise. I want you to know that this is not a motivation problem. So if you're working hard but you don't see progress, it's not about your motivation. It's not that you lack discipline, vision, or growth mindset. It's the invisible weight you're carrying, the mental tabs, the pressure to get it all right, the fear of being seen before you feel 100% ready, and also the dysfunctioning systems you're operating from. I'm talking about life and business ecosystems and not the tech stuff. And it's like pushing a shopping cart with like one stuck wheel. So the cart is broken, you try to push it. So you're moving, but every step takes more energy than it should. That is what we are here to unpack today. So what's creating that drag and what it actually takes to move forward with clarity? Before we go further, I want to name something that few people talk about. You probably don't hear that in other master classes or presentation you join online, especially in high achieving circles. And that is shame. Brené Brown says shame thrives in secrecy, silence, and judgment. But when it's spoken and met with empathy, it cannot survive. Shame doesn't always show up loudly. Sometimes it's quiet. It's those quiet thoughts we have in the background. Like you should be further along. You're not working hard enough. You shouldn't need help for this. This is simple. You shouldn't ask anyone about it. And shame behaves just like a bully. It grows louder when you hide from it. It feeds in isolation. But once you expose bullies, then often they lose their power. And we all have parts of ourselves we'd rather hide: doubt, fear, frustration, this vulnerable stuff. And it's not because they're bad, but because we've been taught that needing support or having flaws means we are not strong enough to survive. And when we tie our worth to results, every slow season feels personal. We develop shame around it. And we stop seeing ourselves clearly and start questioning our value. And that is the hidden cost of shame. It keeps you isolated, overthinking, and carrying it all alone. But not here. This space, or if you work with me in my coaching, our space is shame-free zone. And today we name what's been unspoken, so it starts to lose its power. So I want you to take a moment and think of what gives you shame, guilt, or embarrassment at this moment and write it down. Whatever it is, it's okay. And I want you to know that you can still move forward despite that. So, a few words about me before we dive in. My name is Sarah Movahamfat. I'm a certified business and leadership coach with a corporate background in engineering and strategic sourcing. And for nearly a decade, I worked as a sourcing manager in the construction machinery industry, managing multi-million dollar portfolios and leading global sourcing initiatives for one of the world's most premium brands in the industry. Before becoming a full-time coach, I founded and grew a sustainable fashion e-commerce brand. I launched a digital product business, and I worked as a business consultant supporting small business owners with growth strategy and digital marketing. In the past 2 years, I have coached over 300 professionals, people from all kinds of backgrounds, ranging from scientists, designers, marketing leads, engineers, therapists, and executive coaches, leadership coaches, a lot of coaches mostly. I also co-host a podcast with two of my friends, Anissa and Pragati, on leadership and career growth for professionals in science, tech, and engineering, or so-called STEM fields. I'm a multinational Swiss Iranian and I live in the eastern part of Switzerland with my husband. I love nature and I'm surrounded by that. And what I saw both in corporate and entrepreneurial world was this. Even with a perfect strategy, growth slows down when people do not have the right support or mindset. And I worked with founders who had little budget or business background but made it happen. And at the same time, I also worked with others who had everything, including big budgets, but struggled to move forward because either the mindset was not aligned with their goals or they were stuck in lifestyles that sabotaged their progress. And that is when I realized it's not just about a strategy or ambition. It's about the human behind the work, human behind the career or business, their habits, beliefs, systems, the ecosystems they are functioning from, and the support structures in their lives. And that is the lens I bring to every client conversation. It's what transformed my own journey and what I now use to help others to grow with clarity and integrity. And unfortunately, sometimes we do not see the result of our hard work. We work so hard, but we don't see anything happening. And here is what I hear over and over from new clients. Like, I'm doing so much, but I'm not getting where I want to go. Or I cannot find the time to work on my goals. Life gets busy, life gets in the way, and that is why I'm not achieving my goals. You rarely talk about what this really costs, and not just in terms of money, but in energy, confidence, and self-belief. And when your hard work does not translate into results, it's more than frustrating. It creates doubt. It also creates shame. And that voice that says, maybe I'm not cut out for this, starts to get louder. But here's the truth. Most people are not stuck because they are unmotivated. They're stuck because of blind spots, gaps in clarity, systems, or support they cannot see from the inside. And the longer you stay in that loop, the heavier it gets. The constant second guessing, the I'll fix it when I'm more ready or when I'm ready. That kind of mindset that never actually leads to action. And for coaches, this can look like resentment from undercharging or working with misaligned clients that you're just not excited to work with, or sometimes not even getting one client. And for corporate professionals and managers, it's the exhaustion of leading everyone but yourself, basically managing and controlling everyone, thinking you're leading, and also putting your own development last. And this might sound harsh, but it's true. Most people consider it risky to invest in help from advisors, mentors, therapists, coaches, and they spend days thinking maybe the investment is not worth it. Let's research it. They spend so much time on that. But what you're not seeing is the real risk is doing nothing and staying in patterns that keep you small and losing time. So this sculpture you see here on the right is called Sisyphus Sport, a giant rock turned into a backpack. And when I first saw it at Art Basel a few years ago, it stopped me in my tracks. It is named after the myth where Sisyphus pushes a boulder uphill forever. And this other painting by Titian describes the same story. It seems some stories never get old. Because one of them was made in 1997, the other one is from 1548. So no matter how hard he works, he never actually gets there. Sounds familiar? Most of us are carrying invisible rocks in our backpacks without acknowledging them. You're doing the work, you're carrying a backpack of rock everywhere you go. Imagine going jogging, hiking, swimming with this heavy rock backpack with you. How inefficient is that? You're mentally overloaded because there is no clear plan. So you react. Your energy is drained managing people, projects, and priorities without enough support. And maybe you have a complex family dynamics and your energy is going to manage crises that you cannot even talk about with your friends. Or maybe you have a mental or physical health problem that demands your attention and is draining your energy. Or maybe you default to overthinking, people pleasing, or perfectionism to keep others happy but compromising yourself. Or maybe you haven't fully integrated your strengths, your voice, your leadership identity. So visibility, publicly expressing your opinion feels unsafe and this undermines your authority. Or you avoid conflict, hard conversation, or visibility, not because you're incapable, but because you lack a safe structure to show up powerfully. Or you are overcommitted and you're undersupported, which is very common for actually, especially for women. And for most professionals and coaches I work with, the problem isn't willpower or motivation or ambition. It's often the invisible rocks they are carrying. Sounds familiar? So, what would actually change if your energy, time, and goals were aligned and focused, and your energy was going towards your goals and not these invisible rocks? Because it's one thing to set goals. Most people are very good at setting goals, but it's really the execution that becomes a problem. And it's so setting goals is one thing, but it's another to protect the energy and the structure to follow through, especially when the rest of your life keeps asking for your attention. And for most clients I work with, it's not procrastination. They really want to do the work, but the systems around them is not allowing them to do that. So it's that their weeks are filled with urgent needs, meetings, family stuff, tasks, and no system in place to hold their longer term growth. So they delay, differ, quietly wonder if they are falling behind, and not for lack of effort, but for lack of space. And often we know what needs to shift. We just don't slow down long enough to hear it, let alone act on it. And that's why we're here to pause, reflect, and look at what is really driving your decisions and what could happen if you began leading from alignment and not adrenaline. And most of us have been taught, at least, I'm a child born in the 80s, and this was pretty much the education we were raised with. Is stay logical, stay in control. Managing was mostly about controlling what you can, controlling others, and always prepared by gathering a lot of information. So research, gather information instead of reflect and decide, or push through instead of pause and realign. Collect credentials, certificates, diplomas, MBAs, PhDs, instead of integrating who you already are with what you already know. And obsess over how to do it before clarifying what actually matters. And the result? We're carrying a backpack full of pressure, overthinking, and invisible expectation with no system to hold our growth. And these are all these invisible rocks we are walking with all the time. So if you're carrying a mental load from invisible work that no plan, and then you just know you're tired, but you don't know why, no planner or app can fix that for you because there is no clear plan that holds your decisions. You're tired not just from tasks, but also from relational complexities. You have conversations maybe there are conversations you're avoiding, maybe there are boundaries you're not holding, people you're over managing and under leading. You're spinning and overthinking, trying to get it right before showing up. And when the real issue is here, the real issue is you have not integrated who you are with how you lead. Maybe you're trying to create traction without systems, no clear visibility plan, no decision framework, no rhythm to your work, and you just want to sort of tick the boxes and go through the tasks. So basically, you're not working within systems, you are working with to-do lists. Maybe you're playing small, even when you know you're capable of more, but your calendar, environment, or mindset does not support the version of you showing up in power. And that is why I created my signature methodology, RISE, which we will talk about later. I will share more about it. I created this methodology to address all of these invisible blind spots that most professionals ignore. Starts with reflect to surface what matters and why, to integrate your identity, values, and strengths with how you show up, structure your time, energy, and relational dynamics, express your work and leadership in public, not just on paper. And if you've been asking why I'm doing so much and still not moving forward, it's likely because one of these systems, these elements is not in place. And that's what we are here to change today. So, when we are stressed or we feel pain, the first reaction of our body, or when we have so much going on and just no time to think, the first reaction of our body and mind and nervous system is to activate our survival mechanisms, our old familiar behavioral patterns. So, if we are not conscious, we default to what we know, such as gathering more knowledge, building better plans, searching for the next tool, app, or system like a tech system. Because in technical fields, especially in STEM, project management, consulting, knowledge is safety. Knowledge is everything. It's all about knowing what you don't know what to do next. You're taught to go, when we don't know what's going to happen and we are in uncertainty, most of the time we will default to go get more information, collect more data, we research. But here's the problem. You cannot solve all problems through just gathering information and researching and having more knowledge. Just like you cannot learn how to swim by reading a book about swimming, or you can't climb Mount Everest by self-teaching yourself about hiking. You have to get in the water, you have to strap on the gear, you have to start moving, even when it's unfamiliar. So the same is true for career growth, business development and leadership. Real growth does not come from more courses. It doesn't come from planners, templates, clever hacks. It doesn't even come from knowing the perfect strategy up front. Real growth, the kind that builds careers, businesses, and leadership legacies, comes from three things: shifting your way of operating, not just your way of thinking, building systems that hold your priorities and protect your energy, redefining your identity to match the next level you're stepping into. So these are not things you can self-teach in isolation, and these are not things you can have in your life by just researching. And it's almost like you cannot learn to ski by watching YouTube. And that is why so many talented people stay stuck in loops, working more, learning more, but not actually moving forward. So it's not really a knowledge gap. I hope I could make it clear here. It's a system, structure, and support gap. And that is exactly what the signature method, RISE, that I'm going to talk about, was designed to solve. And we cannot solve problems we don't know we have. Sounds obvious, but that's actually one of the biggest problems most of us have. No matter how smart, self aware, or capable you are, we all have parts of ourselves that we cannot see clearly. We all have blind spots that can grow silently. Maybe a belief that you've outgrown, but you still operate by something we learn in childhood, and it's just still deeply somewhere deep in our head, or a strength you're underutilizing because you feel like it's significant. Who cares that I can do this or that, or I don't know, some kind of skills that you have, but you kind of don't take it seriously. Or maybe there's a relationship pattern that is limiting your leadership. And you probably have heard of Johari window. It's a simple model that shows how we understand ourselves and how others perceive us, and also how we're dealing with problems around us. The Johari window shows us that there are four parts of our to our self-awareness. There's this open area, what you know about yourself and others. They can also see that. There is a hidden area, what you know but others don't. And there's a blind spot, what others, maybe not everyone, but professionals who have observed you, they can see that about you. So professionals you work with know that about you, but you cannot see it clearly yourself. And also there is the unknown part that neither you nor others around you are fully aware of that yet. It just has to do with the level of consciousness everyone's functioning from. Your biggest growth opportunities are often hidden in your blind spots, the patterns you cannot fully recognize alone. And gathering more information won't shrink the blind spots because of our biases, because we're probably going to gather information about the problems we know about, not things we're not going to search for information about things we don't know about. So when you bring these blind spots into awareness through feedback, reflection, you expand your leadership, impact, and potential, and of course, your consciousness. And these blind spots, they shrink when you get the right mirrors and the right system for reflection and action. And this does not happen in isolation. And that's what I have designed the RISE method for, to make the invisible visible and turn awareness into aligned action. So I will explain it in details shortly. In my own growth journey, both in corporate leadership and in building my own businesses, sometimes I was frustrated that I'm putting a lot of effort into something, but not getting the results I expected, or the results were not happening as fast as I expected. So I started studying people who created lasting, authentic success. I asked myself, what are they doing? What are they doing that I'm not doing yet? Or what inner work systems and ways of leading are setting them apart? And what I found was this. They weren't simply smarter or working more than me. They were practicing something deeper. Continued reflection on their work was part of their journey, integrating their identity into their work, building structures that supported sustainable visibility and leadership, expressing their true voice consistently and with courage. And that is what I distilled into the RISE method, a grounded system that helps ambitious professionals like you build sustainable momentum. For example, Vishen Lakhiani reflects his deep values of transformation and freedom through his brand Mind Valley. If you're a coach, I'm sure you have heard the name. And he built these global learning structures. Or Brené Brown integrates personal vulnerability with leadership research, creating a brand that expresses authentic, human-centered leadership on a global stage. Or Melanie Perkins, the founder of Canva, this platform I'm using now to bring this masterclass to you, she structured a system that made design universally accessible, identifying real-world pain points. And Marie Forleo, she's one of the very first online business mentors when no one else was talking about online businesses. And she integrated her multi-passionate strengths into a unique brand voice, structured scalable programs like her B School, and consistently expresses her energy and values through her work. The next level of growth is about operating differently. Complex goals require a different operating system. It demands upgraded thinking, alignment, and systems, especially when you see your efforts are not leading to results. So deep focus, perseverance, and resilience are essential to any meaningful achievement. I am not against hard work. You probably hear a lot of people talking about work smarter, not harder. Actually, I think we need to work. I don't know any successful business owner or career professional who did not work hard and got what they wanted. So hard work is part of it, but we still need to do things differently. It's not enough. At a certain point, especially as your goals get more complex, hard work alone is not going to be enough. You cannot simply do more of the same and expect exponential results. So, real growth requires a different way of thinking about yourself and your priorities, a different way of structuring your time, decisions, and energy, a different way of showing up visibly and strategically in the world. Now, finally, I'm presenting you the RISE model. So, when I launched my first business, I thought the same things that helped me succeed in my corporate or business school, in my corporate career or in business school will help me succeed here fast. And I was wrong. I really struggled in my fashion business in my early days. And I had to unlearn most of what I knew and identify the invisible gaps in my systems, in my mindset and structure so that I could see progress in my business. My employee mindset was not bringing me any results in that entrepreneurial setting. So, the RISE method is my signature coaching framework designed to support professionals and coaches who are ready to lead from the inside out. And this is the result of my own learnings, but also what I learned from supporting over 300 individuals in the last couple of years in my coaching career. So, RISE is built on 4 pillars: R for reflect, I for integrate, S for structure, and E for express. And all of these elements are necessary. It's not the kind of model that you say, I will do this bit and then let the others, whenever I'm ready. All of them, it's a system. Everything has to be in place so that this model works. And if you tried courses, programs, books, and still do not get the results you wanted, it is because one or more of these pieces were probably missing. And maybe you focus too much on a strategy, which is very important, but a strategy without authentic, energetic alignment leads to burnout. And when you only focus on mindset without the right structure and systems, you burn out. And when you focus only on visibility without integrating your personality in your work, you lose authenticity. So the RISE method works because it's holistic. It supports your inner work and your outer work in one simple, powerful structure. So the first pillar of the RISE method is reflect, and it's foundational because you cannot lead what you don't understand. It's about building real self-awareness, being able to see yourself first before seeing others. And this step is about surfacing the patterns, both protective and limiting, and that are patterns that are quietly shaping your decisions, habits, and leadership behaviors. Your emotional regulation patterns, your internal patterns, your real strengths and genius, and not just what you've been praised for, your knowledge and skill gaps without shame. It's okay if you're not good at something, but we should know it. We should be aware of it. And there is something also I don't see enough people talking about it, that you do not lead in vacuum. We are who we are in relation to others, clients, peers, stakeholders, audiences, line managers, project team, if you're in corporate. If you do not understand your own internal systems, you will be constantly pulled by external dynamics without realizing it. You react emotionally in high-stake conversations. I don't know, get activated or angry or sad or whatever, and that might create damage. You'll seek external validation instead of holding your ground. You will exhaust yourself trying to compensate for unseen triggers. And when I use the RISE framework with my clients, we don't just journal or think or meditate. We connect your internal awareness to how you show up in real leadership moments, what makes you react in a certain way. Until you reveal those patterns, no system, no structure, no goal-setting tool will sustain real growth. And it's why the work always starts with you, decoding you. And I'll be showing you examples of clients to explain this better. So when Dr. Alejandra came to me, she didn't need another credential. She already had an impressive background, leadership in pharma. She had MBA, Lean Six Sigma, um, career coaching certification. Her impressive work experience and ambition, it was amazing. And the gap wasn't knowledge or even courage for her. Because she was ready. She would do anything. She had the growth mindset. It wasn't her capability. It wasn't any of those things that most people are worried about. It was just this reflection bit, the kind that reveals who is she most excited to serve as both a leader in pharma and leadership coach. And also, what does she want her voice and her leadership to represent? So she identified her passion for empowering technical leaders, her unique positioning bridging science, leadership, and career transformation, and the deep why behind her desire to build something beyond corporate success. And today, Alejandra, she's thriving, and not just as a global pharma leader, but as a mentor and coach for scientists who want to live more fulfilled careers. The next pillar is integrate. Once you've surfaced these hidden patterns in step one, reflect, we move into the second pillar, integrate. Because insight alone is not enough. You can know so much, but there needs to be some kind of integration. And we talk so much about authenticity. Authenticity isn't just about being true to yourself. It's about knowing how to express that authenticity in the ecosystems you're part of. It's so easy to be authentic when you're alone and nobody's around. That's not a problem. It's really how authentic we are in relation to others. And at this stage, we translate internal clarity into external strategy, setting goals that are meaningful, match your season of life, they are achievable, they're right for the current season, not your current season, not someone else's blueprint. And also identifying your real priorities, not inherited ones based on outdated ambitions or external expectation or what others want from you, your priorities. Also finding ways of using your strengths in ways others can see and benefit from. Making sure your decisions reflect both who you are and what the environment, your company, your clients, your audience needs from you. And this is how alignment happens. It's a word you've heard a lot, but it's really when everything is integrated, like different pieces of puzzle, that's when real alignment is happening. So if you're a coach, for example, this is where you clarify your niche, your ideal client, not based on demographics or not based on what everyone says is profitable, but based on how your strengths match your client's needs and strategic fit. What are you uniquely built to serve? Whose word do you truly understand? And if you're a manager or corporate professional, this is where you master stakeholder mapping, strategic communication, positioning your strengths towards shared outcomes. A common challenge in this stage could be that you might know your values privately. Most of the time we know, like, oh, I value honesty, I value integrity, I like to learning, growth, flexibility, freedom, that kind of stuff. But we fail to adapt and lead effectively within real organizations or marketing dynamics. We often fail to integrate our values into our lives. And that's when misalignments or, discomfort or dissatisfaction happens. Real leaders navigate the world without losing themselves. And that's what we built here in in this pillar of integration. This is another example with my client Felicia. She pivoted from her corporate career in UX design to holistic coaching. She already had the technical skills and experience. She had worked for some very big names in the industry, and she was very good at her job. But coaching, healing, this was her passion. And she'd done so much training around it in her free time. So she didn't need motivation. She was so motivated, ambition when she came to me. And what she was missing was integration, a way to align who she was, what she knew, and who she wanted to serve, especially that she had so many ideas. She's super creative and there were so many things she wanted to do. So she created a clear, empathetic brand anchored in her personal and lived experiences. And today she leads corporate wellness programs. She supports leaders in burnout recovery. And she's a published author, which makes me so proud of her. The third pillar of the RISE method is structure. Systems and structures aren't constraints. A lot of people find them boring or limiting, but they are containers that hold your clarity, progress, and leadership. And without the right systems, even the best strategy will fail under pressure. And I might be a little biased because my academic background is system design and analysis. I really love this topic. But really, as boring as it sounds for so many people, systems hold our growth. And when I say structure, I'm not just talking about time blocking and goal setting or putting tasks on a list. We have enough planners and checklists, and if they worked on their own, we wouldn't be here. Believe me, there is no planner, no luxury planner that I haven't bought. And this is, it sounds as exciting as it sounds, is not what we need usually. I'm talking about systems. And I don't know if you've worked with this field, maybe you've heard of the name Donella Meadows. She's one of the thought leaders in the field of system design and system thinking. And she defines systems as a set of elements connected by relationships, producing a pattern of behavior over time. So this is in simple words, a system is everything that is interacting and influencing what happens, not just you, not just your tasks, but also your environment, your habits, your communication, all the rhythms you have in your life, your decision process. So we are not working in isolation. We are working in ecosystems. And you can have a perfect goal, but if the system around it, if your system around you is not supporting it, if you live in a family dynamic that expects you to personally do everything in the house, if you work in a toxic corporate environment that does not allow you to safely share your creative ideas, you will always feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill like Sisyphus. And if you're a manager in the corporate environment, these systems include, for example, your team, your boss, your clients, your calendar, the culture you work in, and even your private life and how it's affecting your career. If you don't shape that system intentionally, it will shape you. And sometimes you have to leave some systems. That's also a possibility. If you're a leadership coach building a business on the side of a full-time job, like most of my clients, the system includes your job, your coaching clients, your marketing rhythms, your energy cycles, and your sales system, your marketing system, and how you lead your personal life and your work integrates with that. And if you don't build systems that support client creation and delivery, the systems that do not support marketing, sales, you will always feel like you're starting over every week. And the truth is, most talented people are trying to fix outcomes by fixing tasks. It's like most of the time when they think they have to do something, they're thinking of like a long to-do list, but they're not thinking in systems. But tasks live inside systems. Until you shift the system, the old problems keep coming back in different forms. And every sustainable leader, every successful coach, they all have these 4 systems running quietly in the background. The first one is clarity and decision-making system. Without clear priorities, your energy gets scattered. Clarity includes your intuition sometimes, your advisors, your values, but most importantly, it's about being able to make decisions without weeks of overthinking and limbo. It's a skill to be able to think on your feet and make fast decisions. This is especially something that's needed by leaders these days because we are living in changing times. The second system you need is execution and structure system. Without the structure, you fall into reactivity and firefight. You're always responding. If you have a business, you need repeatable marketing, sales, and product delivery or service delivery systems to bring clients in and serve them consistently, not sporadically. It's just business is actually quite a routine. It's like it has to run on rinse and repeat. And if you incorporate, your company may have its systems, but you still need your own personal operating system to stay productive, strategic, and sane. Otherwise, you get dissolved in that big brand, in the company system. And the third system you need is support and relational system. Without feedback and trusted support, you carry too much alone. Growth isn't a solo sport. You need your network. You need a coach. You need your inner circle. You sometimes you even like practical life support, like childcare, house help. I don't know, an assistant. So you stay focused where it matters. It could also be all these apps and AI and softwares that help you run your business or like run your life. And finally, we all need a recovery and resilience system. Something most of us forget. I learned this the hard way because naturally a lot of us didn't grow up having self-care as part of our you know work private life. And without built-in rest, you walk straight into burnout. You cannot find time for resilience. You must plan it. Resilience is something that we have to also create space for. You need to have a scheduled decompression, tech breaks, learning times. They're all critical in a world that is changing faster than ever. So we have to plan for them too. So if even one of these systems is weak, growth feels harder than it should. It becomes like it would feel like you're carrying those invisible rocks we just talked about earlier. And as James Clear puts it, you probably know his book Atomic Habits, is his very interesting book. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Once your system begins doing the heavy lifting for you, everything shifts. The decisions get faster, opportunities feel easier to navigate, your energy is protected, not drained by chaos. And to summarize, a good system is repeatable structure. It's something that reduces decision-making fatigue because it's kind of, runs on its own. You don't need to think about it all the time. It absorbs complexity, so your brain doesn't have to. And it creates feedback loops, so you adapt instead of slowing down. It also protects your energy and bandwidth, so you're not always in recovery mode. Another example I have for you is my client, Lyra. She's amazing, amazing therapist and conflict resolution expert. And she has a background in trauma-informed leadership, mediation. She's highly experienced in the field of conflict resolution and peace negotiation, even in war zones. And with Lyra, the work wasn't about finding her voice. She was already really good at it, doing high-stake presentations and trainings and being visible. But it was about creating practical, repeatable systems for managing her business, leadership energy, stakeholder communication, and career transitions. By putting the right structure in place, she could channel her expertise into visible strategic leadership without constant second guessing or burnout. And today she's helping wealth managers and family businesses with their conflict topics. And the final pillar of RISE method is express. This is where everything you've clarified, integrated, and structured begins to live outside of you. Because leadership, whether in corporate environment or as a business owner, only matters when it's visible. And by visible, I do not mean performative or loud, but real, embodied, and experienced by others. Leadership is really about how we influence other people's lives, how we create mindset shift in others, how we make them do certain things. And our growth doesn't fully happen in private. It matures in relationships, communications, and presence. And this stage is about learning how to show up fully, even when feedback, risk, and uncertainty are part of the equation. And how do you express yourself? Through thought leadership, sharing your real perspective, your unique insight, your wisdom, or your personal brand, being intentional about how other people experience your work, your energy and your voice, and how you curate your image and shape how others perceive you. And we have visibility systems, building rhythms for content on social media, conversations, and presence that doesn't depend on your willpower alone. And this could be social media, this could be being present at events, webinars, conferences, anything. But it's just whatever you do in a way that others are benefiting from that. And also feedback loops, learning to use external reactions, positive or challenging, as growth information, not identity threats. And for corporate professionals, this could be about stepping beyond your tasks, like your assignment, your job description, and deliverables, and becoming known for your perspective, not hiding behind the company brand, advocating for your ideas, having a space to build your personal brand or professional identity, however you like to call it, owning your value and communicating it clearly without waiting for permission, learning to be assertive, learning to negotiate your rights, networking and building relationships with influential decision makers. So for coaches, it could be about building a visible, authentic brand without falling into perfectionism, jargons, or endless second guessing. It's sharing your insight, not just your certification. It's about being visible in a way that feels powerful, not performative. On social media, like on different platforms and conferences, wherever your potential clients are hanging out, you want to show up and share value, teach them about something, just show what you have can help them. So your next level won't come from thinking about it a little bit more. It will come from stepping into rooms, conversations, platforms, imperfectly but consistently. And personally, I can tell you that when I started building my brand, I wasn't fully ready either. Expressing your opinion publicly, that is not easy. You will feel exposed, you will feel uncomfortable. I'm not saying any of this is going to be easy, but what great transformation has ever happened in the comfort zone? The act of expressing on podcasts, webinars, live workshop is what sharpened my leadership and not the other way around. It only does good. And the example I can show you is like Anissa, who's now a great friend and also one of my partners in the podcast. She was one of my early clients. That's how we got to know each other. And she's a chemical engineer. She's a project manager in pharma industry and also meditation teacher, best-selling author. She's an award-winning artist. She's a resilience coach. She's a true multi-passionate leader. And when we started working together, Anissa already had incredible skills and experiences. And what she needed was a sustainable, simple way to bring her full self into the world. And she has mastered this express pillar. She's building visibility systems that match her natural rhythm, not one built on pressure or trends, but a way that is a reflection of all her many passions and interests, also a reflection of her energy. She just shows up the way she is. She's very authentic. Also, she's leading with her authentic voice that connects deeply with her audience. And she has launched a global summit, published 3 best-selling books, and built a real impact through her art, coaching, and leadership work. And the RISE method isn't something I pulled from textbooks or marketing trends. It's the structure I lived through, building a multifaceted career, running businesses, coaching diverse leaders, and navigating my own pivots and plateaus. I wasn't a natural at any of these. I had to learn all of these. I actually struggled. And this framework wasn't created in isolation. It was forged through real challenges, experiments, failures, and client transformations. I learned so much from my clients. I've been inspired by them. And every part of it, from reflect to express, has been pressure tested both in my personal journey and inside the coaching rooms with high performing professionals like you. And every time I've refined it, improved it, and made it practical, actionable, and deeply adaptable, because no two leaders or business owners are exactly the same. And this is not just a methodology I teach, it's a structure I have lived, used to grow my career and business. And I've seen it works for hundreds of clients across industries. And here's what I know for sure. If you only focus on insight without a structure, you stay trapped in overthinking. If you only build systems without inner clarity, you create empty productivity that just drains your energy. You will get through and do everything, but you will feel tired. And if you only express externally without deep internal alignment, you lose sustainability and credibility over time. But when you bring all 4 pillars together, reflect, integrate, structure, and express, everything shifts. Your momentum compounds, your leadership deepens, your results last, and you don't need another template. You don't need another mindset or productivity hack. You need a personal operating system aligned to your strengths, your season of growth, and your real world goals. And that is exactly what private coaching creates. Because lasting, meaningful growth isn't a DIY project, it's co created with a structure, strategy, and the right form of support. And this is something I also want to share with you is something you also may not hear so much about is while I believe in the power of group programs and I run them myself once or twice a year, I believe there is a depth you simply cannot access in group settings. So group programs are powerful. They have helped me grow my businesses. I have nothing against them. I think it's useful to be in a group and learn from others. But the secret to growth for most leaders and coaches is really that they have benefited from one-on-one coaching. And that's where private one-on-one coaching changes everything. It's a confidential space that you can say things you might hesitate to voice in a group, especially topics you might have shame around. You might need to talk about some sensitive topics, and that's not something because of privacy reasons you can bring in a group, and that topic might be blocking you. Very often this is the case, and that's why I see a lot of people join a lot of programs but they don't move forward because they cannot address the real topic that's creating the problem. So in one-on-one coaching, you can bring real challenges, doubts, and ambitions without judgment. So you can actually see your blind spots. You have the space to go deeper and not just, 10, 15 minutes of spotlight time when you often get in a group program. In a group program, everyone's important. I run them and I really want to make sure everyone gets like a fair space. And it's not really possible for everyone to really grow in those settings. And in one-on-one setting, you receive bespoke guidance tailored specifically to you, and not like a generic template designed for all the people who join that program. And that's why I've made a personal decision that even as my group offerings grow, group programs really are better for the business. I think I will always keep private coaching available at a reasonable rate because this is where the most profound, sustainable transformations happen. Not just for my clients, but also for me as a coach, because I also learn so much from those sessions. There's certain things that are shared in one-on-one coaching that I just don't seem to hear in any group coaching. And if you've stayed with me this far, you already know you're not here by accident. You're someone who's ready to grow, you're committed, you're capable, but commitment without the right structure leads to frustration and not fulfillment and not results. And that is why I'm inviting you. If you're serious about building real momentum, and if you resonate with what I talked about, book a private success roadmap call with me. This call is a dedicated space for professionals who are considering private coaching support and want to explore whether working together would be the right fit if we can do something amazing together. And this session is free, but is reserved only for those who are seriously exploring a private coaching partnership for the long term. It's a strategic diagnostic conversation designed to give you clarity on your next step, whether or not we move forward together. Maybe we have that conversation. We're like, maybe we're not right to work with each other, or maybe coaching is not what you need right now. But this is what we'll decide in that conversation. On this call, we will diagnose the real root cause behind your current plateau, beyond the surface symptoms. Identify your three most critical growth priorities for the next 90 days. We map out whether a private coaching partnership is the right strategic move for your goals. And if you're a coach, this goal could be attracting your next 3-4 aligned clients with far greater ease and certainty. If you're a mid-career corporate professional, this goal could be stepping fully into the leadership role and impact you're capable of, or finding clarity around your career, finding clarity around your career change. Maybe you want to reinvent your career. Maybe you have some workplace topic that you want to work around. These are the kind of things we can go through in this session. And I only offer a few of these calls each month because, I run a small business. I do pretty much everything myself with the help of an assistant. So there's only 24 hours in every day. So if you're called to move forward now, not 6 months from now, I encourage you to book your spot today. And if you simply need a one-off consultation on a specific topic, you know you're not ready to consider long-term coaching, I also offer standalone strategy intensive sessions. You can find them on my website. But this specific free roadmap call is exclusively for those exploring a deeper long-term partnership. So that was it. Thank you very much for being here. Let's stay connected and get in touch if you have any questions.